Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast, and today we've got a bunch of stuff to go over regarding the Baltimore Orioles. They got a huge win today over the Kansas City Royals. It was game one of the series. They went out and won 3-0. Yes, you heard it there right. They pitched a shutout today, which was pretty crazy. Obviously, we know what's going on with the Orioles pitching. We know their pitching situation. We know their starting pitching. But they went out and pitched a shutout today. And thanks to a huge 2-run home run by Ryan O'Hearn in the 7th inning, and also an extra added-on run as well for the team, they went out there and got a win today. So it was a huge win. They've won 3 of their last 4, and let's just get right into it. So going over this Royals and Orioles game, this is the second series of 2 that we're playing Kansas City. Obviously, we lost the first series 2-1, and right now in this series we're up 1-0. So if they can take one of the next 2 games, they'll take the rubber match, and we can move on from there. But the Orioles have won 3 of their last 4 games. They're on a little bit of a roll. They're only 5 games back from being 500. They're 13-18 on the season. And they got a 3-0 win today over the Royals. The hitting wasn't anything, crazy. 9 total hits, 3 runs scored, but they produced the runs with, just runners in scoring position and producing runs like a normal team would. They went 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 5 guys on base. If you go through some of the highlights for the hits, Gunnar Henderson had a hit, Adley Rutschman had a hit, Ryan O'Hearn had 2 hits, including the huge 2-run home run in the 7th. All of the runs scored in this game was all in the 7th inning, and Ryan O'Hearn hit a 2-run home run, which, got the scoring started for either team, but also was ultimately the factor in the win. So Ryan O'Hearn, 2 hits, 2-run home run. Ryan Mountcastle also gets 2 hits. Jackson Holliday gets a hit. Heston Kjerstad gets a hit. And then Emmanuel Rivera, batting 9th today, he got a hit as well, and he also brought in the 3rd run of the game. And but the star of this game was most definitely the pitching. Obviously, when you pitch a shutout, you expect to win the game, obviously, because you only have to score 1 run. But the pitching was phenomenal today, and this is the type of pitching performance that we were really waiting on. This is the first shutout that the Orioles have pitched this season. I don't know how many there's going to be. I wouldn't expect that there's going to be a lot of times that this is going to happen. But, it does happen, from time to time. Even if your pitching isn't necessarily good, it still does happen. But the Orioles pitching did great today. Dean Kramer got the start. He had a phenomenal game on the mound. He gets the win, so now he is credited 3-4 on the season in his starts. So he's getting up there in wins. Obviously, he's had some pretty bad games, but Dean Kramer hasn't necessarily. He's had some bad starts, but he's also sprinkled in a couple good starts in there as well. And this was one of them. He goes 7 innings, 0 runs, only gives up 3 hits and a walk. So he only allows 4 total base runners, gives up 0 runs across 7 innings, only gets 2 strikeouts, but has an 82 pitch count. So his strikeout numbers weren't really there. A lot of balls were being put in play, but 7 innings scoreless. You'll always take that from your starting pitcher. That is phenomenal work from Dean Kramer. An 82 pitch count across 7 innings, so it's not like he was throwing a ton of pitches, but, he did his thing. Dean Kramer went out there and really did his thing today, and I'm super, super, super happy for this performance, and hopefully this can kickstart a little bit of a run going for Dean Kramer, because this is about the time of the year where the Orioles starting pitch is really going to have to, lock in and, get ready to go. Obviously, Tomoyuki Sagano's out there, Dean Kramer, Cal Gibson now, Cade Povich, and we don't necessarily have a 5th pitcher. I do think it's going to possibly be Zach Eflin here soon. I think that's why they made the move of moving Charlie Morton to the bullpen, is because they knew that Zach Eflin was going to come back soon. So hopefully that's going to be the case, because if that is the case, then you have Eflin, Tomoyuki, Dean Kramer, Cade Povich, and Kyle Gibson, and that sounds a lot better than what they had previously before the Zach Eflin injury. But some really great games for the Orioles recently. Obviously, they're 3-4, or they've won 3 of their last 4. But they're moving. The Orioles are moving. They're 5 games below 500. They're moving along very well. And shout out to the bullpen as well after Dean Kramer got out the game. Yanier Cano came in, gave up a hit, no runs. And then Felix Bautista, 6 for 6 on his saves this year, gets another save in this game. Goes 1 inning, gets a strikeout, no runs. Only had a 12-pitch count in that final inning. So Felix Bautista is starting to get back on track. And this was also the first game of the month of May for the Orioles. And they're starting off 1-0. Obviously, they had a very, horrible month of April, but hopefully this month of May can be the comeback season for the Orioles. They are battling through injuries, obviously. Jordan Westberg, Colton Cowser, Zach Eflin, Grace Rodriguez, and a lot of other, pitching injuries as well. So they're dealing with some injuries, but if they can just fight through this and just get on a little bit of a streak and just find a little bit of momentum moving forward, I think things are going to be okay. I do trust this offense. I don't necessarily trust the starting pitching. I trust the bullpen for the most part, but for the starting pitching, I don't really trust. But when the starting pitching's having really good games, kind of like what happened last game, when the starting pitching is having a really good day, because starting pitching is going to have their good days. They're going to have their bad days, but they're also going to have their good days. It's just how consistent that stuff's going to happen. So when the starting pitching's having their good days, the offense has got to take advantage of that, and they've been doing a really good job of that recently. Obviously, the only loss they've had in their past 4 games was the 15-3 loss where Kyle Gibson just, the game was over going into the second inning, and obviously the offense didn't even feel like showing up because they were down like 9-0 in the third inning. So, but this Orioles team is getting a little hot. They haven't necessarily scored a ton of runs recently, but they're doing enough to win, and they're edging out some very close wins. I think Felix Bautista's gotten 3 saves in the past 3 games that we've played, just because they've all come down to the wire for the Orioles. So it's nice to see them be in those situations again. It's nice to see them coming out with close wins and edging out close wins, because at the end of the day, a win is a win, and you got to move forward with that. Game 2 is going to be tomorrow on Fox, so that game's actually going to be on national TV, and then Game 3 is on Sunday. So this is a weekend series. The Orioles were giving out Star Wars bobbleheads of Colton Cowser and Gunnar Henderson, which is pretty cool. But if the Orioles can go out here and take this series, that'll be back-to-back series wins, and you just move forward from there. Because at the end of the day, it's about winning games, it's about winning series, and it's about just finding some momentum. It's baseball. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You just got to find your rhythm, and you got to find some consistency. And I will say one thing about this Royals team is, we're not, coming into this game facing, a scrub team. We're not facing a fraudulent team. The Kansas City Royals going into this game today had won 9 of their last 10 games heading into this game that they played today. So we were playing one of the hottest teams in baseball, and we were able to pitch a shutout, with all the problems with the starting pitching, with all the problems in the pitching in general. We were able to pitch a shutout today and end up getting a win. So it's very nice to see. This is one of the hottest teams in baseball, and going out here and getting a win is huge to start off the series. You always love to start off a series with a win, and then they just got to take one of the next 2 games at least, to get the series win. Hopefully they can sweep this series. It'll be nice. The Orioles haven't swept anyone yet this year. But going and looking real quick at the game tomorrow, because it's going to be a very interesting game. We got a really great pitcher's duel for this game. It's going to be Chris Bubich, who has started off the year great for the Royals, versus Tomoyuki Sagano, who obviously is the Orioles' best starting pitcher who is available right now. Tomoyuki Sagano has been phenomenal all year. He's gone into some traffic, but he's really worked. He's gone through innings. He's ate a lot of innings for the Orioles, and he's really gone out there and just did his thing. And then same thing with Chris Bubich. That the ERAs are similar, the WHIP is similar, the innings pitched is similar, the hits given up is similar. The strikeouts is a lot different because Tomoyuki Sagano is not a strikeout guy. But in terms of ERA and WHIP and innings pitched, this is a close matchup. Chris Bubich has been great for the Royals so far this year, and same with Tomoyuki Sagano. So tomorrow we might have a little bit of a pitcher's duel, but sometimes whenever you say, oh, this is going to be a pitcher's duel, it ends up being a double-digit both sides scoring game, and then when it's 2 bad pitchers, and ends up being a low-scoring game, kind of like it was today. So tomorrow's going to be a super interesting game. Two of the best pitchers for each team playing. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm looking for the offense just to find its rhythm again. And I would like to see the offense go out there and score early. Because obviously you're not always going to pitch a shutout, so games are going to be close. But if they can go out there and just find the momentum early, just score early, get on the board, and just move along. And I would love to see Tomoyuki Sugano, get at least a quality start tomorrow, and then the Orioles offense can do the rest from there. But yeah, this Orioles offense, again, they haven't scored a ton of runs recently, but they are doing enough to come up with the win, which is, at the end of the day, all you can really ask for. They're slowly but surely digging themselves out of this hole, but they still have a lot of work to do. And this is the time of the year, and this is the month of the year in May, where before we hit the prime time of summer, it would be nice for the Orioles to be out of their little, 5 games under 500 hole that they're in right now. And it starts with getting a win and, hopefully sweeping this series. And then if you go look at the game on Sunday, it's going to be Michael Lorenzen versus Kyle Gibson. Michael Lorenzen's been solid for the Royals. Kyle Gibson obviously was atrocious in his first start. So that's going to be interesting to see how that game goes. So hopefully the Orioles can actually take the game tomorrow, because I'm not really sure how much I trust the pitching matchup on Sunday. So hopefully they can go out there and take the game on Saturday. And before we wrap up this episode, I do want to take a little look at the AL East standings. I haven't done this in the past few episodes, but the Yankees are still in first at 19-13. The Red Sox are second at 18-16. The Blue Jays are third at 16-16. The Rays are fourth at 14-18, and the Baltimore Orioles are still fifth at 13-18. 5 games under 500, and they're 5.5 games back of being first in the AL East. So they have a pretty big deficit, not as big as some other deficits in terms of last place teams. Obviously, the White Sox are 11.5 games back of being first. The Angels are 7 games back. The Marlins are 9 games back. So, the Rockies are 16 games back. So, obviously, this isn't a crazy deficit. It's obviously, we can definitely come back from this. They just got to find the momentum. They got to find an identity and a rhythm and just move forward with it. They are, in the past 4 games at least, they are moving in the right direction, which is nice to see. And hopefully they can just go out and keep it up tomorrow. And that's going to be all for this episode of Birds of a Feather. This was episode number 30. So, again, we are moving through these episodes, very, very, very fast. I'm having a ton of fun doing this again. I love the Orioles. I love the Ravens. There hasn't been a ton of Ravens news, obviously, since the draft, because the draft just ended and, they're eventually going to head into, the season release and then obviously, training camp, rookie camp, all that stuff. So when there's any Ravens news, I'll make sure to go over it, of course. But obviously, we're going to be recapping and covering every single Orioles game throughout this year. We're, completely caught up on it, of course, right now. And I'll have another episode out tomorrow, sometime tomorrow night after the Orioles and Royals game. Thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify if you like this content, and I'll see you guys in the next